The conference room on the 47th floor smelled of lemon polish and old money. Crystal chandeliers cast hard light over the mahogany table where 18 people sat in rigid silence. At the head of the table, Gerald Finch, the family attorney, adjusted his spectacles and tapped a stack of papers against the polished wood. "Shall we begin?" he asked. No one answered. They were all watching me. I stood by the window, back to the room, hands in my pockets. Below, the city sprawled in a grid of glass and steel. My grandmother's city. My grandmother's empire. Or so everyone assumed. "Ethan," Gerald said, "please take your seat." I turned. The room was a gallery of familiar faces. Uncles who had never spoken to me at family gatherings. Aunts who had patted my head when I was 12 and never again. Cousins who had mocked my second-hand suits at private school functions. And at the far end, directly across from the empty chair meant for me, sat my cousin Derek. Derek had the family jaw, the strong chin, the perfect hair, the tailored suit that cost more than most people's cars. He leaned back in his chair with his arms crossed, a smirk already forming. "No rush," Derek said. "Let him savor the view. It's probably the last time he'll see anything this high up." A few of the aunts tittered nervously. My uncle Marcus, Derek's father, Clea read his throat and shot Derek a warning look, but it was a performance. Everyone knew where the real power sat now. I walked to my chair and sat. The leather was cold through my jacket. Gerald opened the folder. The last will and testament of Marj Rhett Finch, dated 3 months prior to her passing, is herewith presented for reading. He read the boilerplate first. Legal formalities. Executor appointments. Then he reached the distribution section. "To my son, Marcus Finch, I bequeath the family estate in the Hamptons and a controlling share of Finch Realty Holdings, as previously established." Marcus nodded, his face stone. No surprise there. He'd been running the company for a decade. "To my daughter, Patricia Finchmore, I leave the ART collection at the Pennsylvania Arcade Avenue penthouse and a trust fund for her grandchildren." Patricia dabbed her eyes with a handkerchief. "Fake TRS. To my grandson, Derek Finch, I leave the entirety of my liquid assets, the private jet, the Monaco property, and all remaining Shaw residential of Finch Holdings not otherwise designated." Derek's smirk widened into a grin. He didn't even try to hide it. Around him, his mother and his sisters clapped softly. "To my grandson, Ethan Finch." Gerald paused. I watched his throat move. He didn't want to read the next part. That was interesting. Gerald had been the family attorney for 40 years. He'd drafted wills that had shaped the entire northeastern real estate market. He didn't hesitate. Ever. "To Ethan Finch," he repeated, "I leave the sum of $10,000 to be paid in a single installment, and my personal collection of vintage wristwatches, with the express stipulation that he produce proof of legitimate offspring within 5 years of my death, failing which the watches shall revert to the estate." Silence. Derek burst out laughing. "10 grand, and some old watches." He slapped the table. "Grandma really knew what you were worth, didn't she, Ethan?" I said nothing. I felt the weight of the room on me. 18 pairs of eyes. Pity, contempt, amusement. I'd been the black sheep for so long it felt like a second skin. "Ethan," Gerald said, his voice softer, "your grandmother had specific concerns about the family line continuing. She doubted I'd have kids." I cut him off. My voice was flat. "She wrote it into the will. She made it a condition. And she gave everything to Derek." Derek leaned forward, elbows on the table. "Don't take it personally, cuz you never did fit. No wife, no kids, no career. You work at that little boutique hotel downtown, right? The one with the weird name." "What is it again?" "The Hawthorne," I said. "Right. The Hawthorne. 6 floors. 80 rooms. Cute. I stayed there once. The sheets were scratchy." More laughter. His sisters. His mother. Even Patricia cracked a smile. I stood up. "Ethan," Marcus said, finally speaking, "this is difficult for all of us. If you'd like to contest the will, I won't contest it." Derek's grin faltered for half a second. "SMART. You'd lose anyway. Grandma had her mind made up. She knew you were a dead end." I picked up my jacket from the back of the chair. The leather was worn. I'd had it for 12 years. "You know what she told me?" I asked. No one answered. "The last time I visited her. 3 months ago. She was in the GA den. She looked at me, and she said, She said I reminded her of her first husband, the one who ran off with the Secreta Re and died penniless in Miami. She said I had his eyes, the eyes of a man who couldn't finish anything. Derek snorted. Sounds about right. She also said she'd rather burn the company to the ground than hand it to someone who couldn't even keep a girlfriend. Can you blame her? Derek's sisters laughed. The youngest one, Nicole, was filming the whole thing on her phone. I walked to the door. Halfway there, I stopped. Gerald. I said, yes, Ethan, read the codicil. The one from yesterday. Gerald froze. His face went pale. I don't know what you mean. Derek leaned four-way RD again. What codicil? There's no codicil. Gerald, what is he talking about? Gerald fumbled with the papers. Sweat broke out on his forehead. I watched him flip through page after page, his fingers shaking. I don't have anything here, he stammered. Check your briefcase, I said. Second compartment. The one with the brown leather patch. Gerald opened the briefcase. His hands were unsteady. He pulled out a single sheet of paper, folded in half. His eyes scanned it. His mouth fell open. This, he said. This was filed with the county clerk's office this morning. It's a codicil to the will. Dated yesterday. Signed and notarized. What does it say? Marcus snapped. Gerald read aloud. I, Marj Rhett Finch, being of sound mind, do hereby revoke all previous bequests to my grandson Derek Finch and bequeath the entirety of my residual estate, including all Shaw residential and Finch holdings and associated properties, to my grandson Ethan Finch, absolutely and without condition. The room exploded. What? Derek's chair scraped Backway Road. That's impossible. She didn't. I was with her every day. She never signed anything. She couldn't even hold a pen. She held a pen yesterday, I said. I brought it to her. She signed it in front of two witnesses. The notary was a hospice nurse. Her name is Marga Retchun. She's on standby to testify. You forged it, Derek said. He was standing now. His face was red. You forged my grandmother's signature. Your grandmother called me yesterday morning. I cut in. She asked me to come see her. She was lucid. Clea R. She asked me why I never visited. I told her the truth, because I was tired of watching her treat me like a failure. She cried. I think that was the first time she'd cried in YRS. Derek's fists clenched. Liar. She hated you. She told me 100 times. She said you were worthless. A drain on the family. She told you what you wanted to hear. I walked back Tawa RD the table. Because you were the yes man. The one who never pushed back. The one who built his whole life on her approval. But in the end, she knew. She knew you'd run the company into the ground within 5 years. She knew you'd sell off the commercial properties to pay your gambling debts. Derek's face went white. Where did you hear that? He whispered. I own the casino you frequent, Derek. The Royal Flush in Atlantic City. I bought it 6 years ago under a holding company. You've lost $2 million RS there in the last 18 months. Silence. Absolute. Crushing silence. Ethan. Marcus stood up slowly. This is preposterous. Derek is a responsible executive. He has no gambling problem. I've seen his books. You've seen the books he wanted you to see. I pulled a thin manila folder from my jacket pocket and tossed it on the table. There's 17 pages of wire transfers. Offshore accounts. Loans taken against company assets. He's been bleeding Finch Holdings for years. Derek lunged for the folder. I caught his wrist. Don't. I said that he tried to pull free. I held him steadied. Security will escort you out. I said. All of you. This building is now mine. The company is mine. And the first thing I'm doing is freezing every account and terminating every executive who participated in the fraud. Derek yanked his ARM back. You can't do this. You're nobody. You work at a boutique hotel. You don't even own a CAR. I don't work at the Hawthorne, I said. I own it. I own the chain. I own the parent company. I bought the first property when I was 22, using money from my father's life insurance. You all thought I was a loser because I didn't come to family dinners. I was working. I was building. While you were playing golf and spending grandma's money, I was buying hotels. I looked around the room. Every face was frozen. Every mouth was open. Gerald, I said. Read the rest of the codicil. The part about the investigation. Gerald swallowed road. The codicil further directs the executor to initiate a full forensic audit of Finch Holdings, with all findings to be turned over to the State Attorney General's office. Derek's legs gave out. He dropped into his chair. You're not just taking the company, Americus said. You're destroying it. I'm destroying the rod inside it, I said. There's a difference. And you know what else, Derek? The watch's grandma left me they're worth about $800,000 RS. Not that I need the money. I just want you to know that even the scraps she threw me were worth more than your entire severance package. I walked to the door and held it open. Out. Everyone, I have a BOA RD meeting in 30 minutes. The new BOA rode. One by one they filed out. Derek was last. He paused in the doorway. You think you've won, he asked. You think this is over? I looked at him. I don't think I've won. I know it. Then I closed the door. 30 minutes later, I sat at the head of the same mahogany table. The room was empty now except for Gerald and two men I had hired from my own legal team. The chandeliers still glittered. The city still sprawled below. But everything else had changed. The BOA RD meeting is at 2, Gerald said, checking his watch. I have contacted the current directors. Most of them are resistant. Resistant how, Americus has been calling them. He is claiming the codicil is a forgery. He is threatening legal action. I leaned back in the leather chair. Let him. I have the witnesses. I have the notary. And I have the forensic accountant's STA rooting on Monday. Gerald adjusted his glasses. Ethan, I have to ask, how long have you been planning this? Planning is a strong word. I looked at the ceiling. High, vaulted, covered in intricate molding. I knew she was sick. I knew she had made a will. But I also knew she was fair. Beneath all the cruelty, she was fair. I just needed to give her a reason. And the codicil. How did you get her to sign it? I told her the truth. I shrugged. I told her about the gambling. About the offshore accounts. About the deals Derek had been making behind her back. She did not believe me at first. So I showed her the evidence. Gerald's eyes widened. You had evidence on Derek before she signed. I have had evidence on Derek for 3 years. I was waiting for the right moment, waiting for her to be lucid enough to understand. And the hotel chain, the casinos, all of it. All of it. I stood up. I own 37 properties across 9 states. I employ over 1,200 people. My combined revenue last year exceeded Finch Holdings by $400 million RS. Gerald sat down heavily. Then why wait? Why not make your move RS ago? Because I wanted it to hurt. I walked to the window. Below, the traffic crawled through the canyons of the city. Somewhere out there, Derek was making phone calls. Lawyers. Friends. Anyone who might help him claw back what he had lost. He will fight, I said. He will hire the best attorneys. He will leak stories to the press. He will try to paint me as the greedy grandson who stole from his dying grandmother. Can you handle that? I turned. I have handled worse. I have been handling worse my whole life. Gerald nodded slowly. The directors will be here soon. Americus has already reached out to 3 of them. They are coming with demands. Let them come with demands. I have the controlling Shah-Res. I can dissolve the BOA RD entirely if I want. You would do that if I have to. The doors opened. My assistant, a Shah RP woman named Elena, stepped in. Mr. Finch, the directors are here. They are in the lobby. Send them in. The first director through the door was a man named H.A. Rold Vance. He was 72, silver-haired, and had been on the BOA RD for 30 years. He C.A. ride a briefcase and a scowled, Ethan, he said, not bothering with pleasantries. This is quite the coup you have pulled. H.A. rolled. I gestured to a chair. Please, sit. Behind him came 2 more directors, a woman named Cynthia Reyes, Shah RP-faced and suspicious, and a man named David Kim, younger than the others, his eyes already calculating. I have asked the rest to join by conference call, Elena said. They are deliberating. Deliberating? I almost laughed. They are waiting to see which way the wind blows. That is fine. I will make my statement once. The 3 directors sat. H.A. Rold placed his briefcase on the table and opened it. I have been reviewing the codicil. Legally, I am not sure it will hold. Your grandmother's mental state at the time of signing is questionable. I have a video recording, I said. H.A. Rold paused. A what? A video recording. 8 minutes. I recorded the entire conversation. She is clear-eyed. She is coherent. She articulates her reasons for disinheriting Derek and his father. The notary is visible in the frame. The witnesses visible. If you want to contest it, I will release the video to the press. H.A. Rold closed his briefcase slowly. You have been preparing for this. For years. I sat down. I did not do this on a whim. I did not do it out of spite. I did it because Derek was destroying the company. He was bleeding it dry. The offshore accounts, the unauthorized loans, the gambling, it is all documented. And I have proof that at least 2 of you knew about it. Cynthia's face went pale. That is a serious allegation. It is not an allegation. It is a fact. I pulled out a second folder. You signed off on a loan to a shell company in the Caymans. The shell company was owned by Derek's wife. You knew it. You were paid to approve it. Cynthia sta root to speak. I held up a hand. Do not deny it. I have the bank records. I have the email correspondence. I have the wire transfers. You can either resign quietly and walk away with your pension, or I can four-way RD everything to the state attorney general. She did not answer. She just sta read at the folder. David, I said, you are clean. I have checked. You were kept out of the loop. But you also did not ask questions. You saw the numbers sta rooting to look wrong, and you chose to look the other way. That is not illegal, but it is not how I run a company. David met my eyes. What do you want from me? I want you to stay. I want you to help me clean this up. I will double your compensation and give you autonomy over the commercial division. But I need to know you agree with me. He nodded. I am with you. H.A. rolled. I looked at the old man. What about you? H.A. rolled sighed. He looked tired. He looked like a man who had seen too much. I did not know about the loans, he said. But I did know about Derek's gambling. I thought it was under control. I thought he had stopped. He did not stop. He got worse. And he was using company money to cover his losses. H.A. rolled closed his eyes. What do you want from me? I want you to resign. Today, you will get a generous severance. But you cannot stay on the Boa Road. I need a fresh START. And Cynthia, she is out. No severance. She can sue me if she wants. I have the evidence. Cynthia stood up abruptly. This is illegal. This is my company now, I said. You are all at-will employees. I can fire you for any reason. And I have plenty of reasons. She stormed out. H.A. rolled gathered his briefcase and followed. Slower, more resigned, David remained. 2 o'clock, he said. The rest of the BOA RD is on the conference call. I know. What are you going to tell them? Same thing I told you. The truth. David looked at me for a long moment. You know, everyone in this building thought you were a nobody. A failure. The grandson who could not hold down a job. I know. They were wrong. I know that too. The conference call at 2 o'clock was brief. I introduced myself to the remaining BOA RD members, explained the codicil, and outlined the forensic audit. 3 of them resigned immediately. 2 others pledged their support. The 6th tried to argue, but I cut him off. Your choice is simple, I said. Stay and work under new leadership, or leave with a settlement. There is no third option. He stayed up by 3 o'clock. The news had broken. The financial press was calling it the most dramatic corporate takeover in a decade. The tabloids were calling it the family feud of the century. And Derek was calling everyone he knew that I stood in my new office, my grandmother's old office, and watched the news crawl across the screen on my desk. Ethan Finch, the grandson previously believed to have been disinherited, has assumed control of Finch Holdings following a last-minute codicil to amend R.J. Rhett Finch's will. The anchor was a blonde woman with a Shah RP smiled. Details still emerging, but sources close to the family say that Derek Finch, the former heir apparent, has been accused of financial misconduct and will face a forensic audit. I muted the television. My phone buzzed. Derek. I let it ring. It buzzed again. Mayor Cuss. I let it ring. Then it buzzed a third time. My grandmother's old number. I picked up. Ethan. It was Patricia, my aunt. Her voice was shaky. I need to see you. Why? Because I cannot reach Derek. I cannot reach anyone. Mayor Cuss is in meetings all day. The lawyers going crazy. And I just had a reporter call me asking about some property in Monaco. The Monaco property is mine now. If you want to stay there, you will have to pay market rent. You cannot do this. You cannot just throw us out of our homes. I am not throwing anyone out. I am enforcing the terms of the will. The properties mine. You can lease them if you want. This is insane. Your grandmother would never. Your grandmother signed the codicil. Your grandmother called me the night before she died and apologized. She told me she had been wrong about me. She told me she had always known I had potential, but she had been too proud to admit it. There was silence on the other end. She said you knew about the gambling. I continued. She said you had been helping Derek hide it for YRS. I did not. She said you were protecting him because you were afraid he would go to prison. And because you did not want to lose your allowance. Patricia hung up. I set the phone down. My hands were steady. Elena knocked at the door. Mr. Finch, the press is here. They are in the lobby. They want a statement. I will give them one. I walked to the elevator and rode it down to the lobby. The press corps was packed behind a velvet rope. Cameras, microphones, reporters shouting questions over each other. Mr. Finch, is it true your grandmother disinherited you initially? Mr. Finch, what about the allegations of fraud? Mr. Finch, how do you plan to run the company? I stepped behind the lectern they had set up. The lights were hot. I adjusted the microphone. Good afternoon, I said that the shouting died down. My grandmother passed away 2 weeks ago. She was a Rema or cable woman. She built an empire from nothing. She faced obstacles that would have crushed most people. And she loved her family, even when we did not deserve it. I paused. The will you have heard about was real. The codicil was real. And the financial misconduct I have uncovered is also real. I will not comment on any ongoing investigation, but I will say this. Finch Holdings will survive. It will thrive. And it will do so with integrity. A reporter shouted. What about Derek Finch? Will he face criminal charges? I cannot speak to that. The investigation is ongoing. Another shouted. There are rumors you secretly own a hotel empire. Is that true? I looked at the camera. I own a few properties. The details will be made public in the company's next SEC filing. The reporters erupted again. I stepped back from the lectern and walked away. Elena was waiting by the elevator. Nicely done, she said. I have had practice. Your phone is ringing. Derek again. Let it ring. The invitation arrived by courier 3 days later. Cream-colored CARD stock. Gold embossing. It was for a charity gala at the Pennsylvania Arcade Avenue penthouse. The same penthouse that now belonged to me. I read it twice. Elena, I said. Who sent this? She looked at the CA road. The sender is listed as the Finch Family Foundation. But the contact is Derek's assistant. Interesting. He is throwing a party at my penthouse. Technically, he has already rented it for the night. The booking was made 6 months ago. It was his grandmother's tradition. I tossed the CARD on the desk. Tell him I will be there. Are you sure it is a fundraiser? There will be press. There will be Derek. I want to see his face. The penthouse was the crown jewel of the family's real estate portfolio. It had been Margaret's pride and joy. Every surface was marble. Every window faced Central Park, and every piece of art was worth more than a house in the suburbs. I arrived at 8. The party was in full swing. Orchestra playing in the corner, champagne flowing, men in tuxedos, women in gowns. I wore a d'arc suit. Not flashy, not cheap. Derek spotted me from across the room. He was wearing a white tuxedo. The signature of a man who thought he had nothing to lose. Ethan, he said, approaching with a glass of champagne. I am glad you came. I am. I wanted to talk. Man to man. I took a glass of water from a passing server. Talk. Derek leaned in. His voice dropped. You have the company. You have the properties. You have one. But let us be honest, you do not need any of this. You have your hotels. Your casinos. You have already made more money than the rest of us combined. True. So why not walk away? Give me back the company. Let me run it. You can keep the profits. You can keep the real estate. I do not need any of that. I just need the title. You need the title because you are a failure, I said. You have never built anything. You have never rented anything. Everything you have was given to you. And now you are begging for more. Derek's face flushed. I am not begging. You are begging. You are standing in my penthouse, drinking my champagne, asking me to let you pretend you are something you are not. He set his glass down. Road. You think you are so much better. You think you are some kind of genius. You got lucky. Grandma felt guilty. That is it. She felt guilty for treating you like garbage your whole life. And she signed a paper to make herself feel better. She signed a paper because she finally saw the truth. The truth is you have been playing us for years. You let us laugh at you. You let us mock you. And all along you were building your little empire. You are the biggest liar in this family. Maybe. I stepped closer. But I am the liar who owns this building. Derek's hand shot out. He grabbed my jacket. I could kill you, he hissed. I could end this right now. Threats in front of all these people. He let go. Stepped back. smoothed his tuxedoed, "You want to play games, fine. We will play games. But you better watch your back, Ethan. You might own the company. But I know people. I know people who can make things happen. Are you threatening me? I am telling you a fact. You have humiliated me. You have humiliated my father. You have humiliated everyone in this room. And that kind of humiliation comes with consequences." I looked around. People were watching. Whispers were spreading. "Let me make something clear, I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Derek Finch no longer has any connection to this company. He has no assets. He has no authority. And if anyone in this room is considering doing business with him, I would encourage you to review your contracts. I will be auditing every relationship this company has, and I will terminate every one that involves fraud, bribery, or nepotism." The murmuring grew louder. "You cannot do that," Derek said. "You cannot just—" "I can and I will." I turned to face the crowd. "My grandmother built this company on trust, on hard work, on integrity. In the last decade, those values have been eroded. Derek and his allies have stolen, cheated, and lied. And I am here to stop it." The room was dead silent. Derek's face was a mask of fury. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. "You will regret this," he said finally. "Probably," I said. "But not today." I walked to the bar, ordered a glass of water, and watched him leave. He stormed Tower RD the elevator, his white tuxedo GLA ring under the chandeliers. His sisters followed, shooting venomous glances over their shoulders. Patricia lingered in the dessert table, her champagne glass trembling in her hand. I did not move. I leaned against the bar and sipped my water. One of the guests approached, a tall man with gray temples and a knowing smile. He extended his hand. "Ethan Finch. I am Robert Shaw. I knew your grandmother for 30 years." I shook his hand. "Mr. Shaw, I have here your name. You are on the BOA RD of the Metropolitan Museum. Retired now, but I still remember your grandmother's generosity. She donated the entire East Wing." He glanced Tower RD the elevator where Derek had vanished. "She also told me once that she regretted not giving you a chance. She said you had a fire in you that the rest of the family lacked. She never told me that. She would not have. She was proud. Too proud to admit her mistakes face to face. But she told me. And she told Gerald. And she told her doctor." He patted my shoulder. "You did the right thing tonight. That boy needed to hear it." "Thank you, Mr. Shaw." He walked away. Sap a ring into the crowd. I scanned the room. The energy had shifted. People who had avoided me, liar, now offered nods and smiles. A senator approached to shake my hand. A hedge fund manager asked about partnership opportunities. The press had their cameras trained on me, capturing every gesture. Derek was gone, but his shadow lingered. I stepped onto the terrace. The night air was cold. Below, the city glittered like a circuit boa road. I leaned on the railing and breathed. My phone buzzed. Derek's name on the screen. I answered. "What do you want?" His voice was different. Softer. Almost broken. "Ethan, please. I need to talk to you. Not in front of people. Just you and me. We are talking now. Not like this. Not over the phone. I need to see you. Tomorrow. No lawyers. No press. Just us." "Why would I agree to that?" "Because I know things. Things about the company that even you do not know. Things about Grandma's deals. Things about the Boa Road. You think you have cleaned house, but you have not. There are people still working for you who are worse than me." I said nothing. "Meet me tomorrow," he continued. 10 o'clock. The Hawthorne. Your hotel. Neutral ground. I will tell you everything. You expect me to trust you. I expect you to listen. That is all. You can bring security. You can bring a recorder. Just come." I heard the desperation in his voice. It was real. For the first time in years, Derek was not performing. "I will be there." I said, "Thank you. Thank you, Ethan. You will not regret this." The call ended. I stayed on the terrace for another 10 minutes. The music from inside was muffled, the laughter distant. Somewhere out there, Derek was planning something. Or maybe he was truly broken. Either way, I would find out tomorrow. I walked back inside and found Elena. "Cancel my morning meetings," I said. "Sir, I have a meeting at the Hawthorne. 10 o'clock. Personal." She did not ask questions. She simply nodded and made a note. I left the penthouse through the service elevator to avoid the press. The streets were quiet. The city hummed in the distance. The Hawthorne was a 6-story building in the ARTS district. 80 rooms. Terracotta facade. Ivy climbing the east wall. It was the first hotel I had ever bought, and I had bought it with every dollar my father had left me after his death. The insurance money had been small. The hotel had been smaller, but I had turned it into something. Now it was the flagship of a 37-property empire, but it still felt like mine. The way my grandmother's penthouse never had. I stood across the street and looked up at the windows. Room 304 was lit. The one where I had lived for 2 years while I worked the front desk, cleaned the linens, and Leah reneged every inch of the business. Derek had mocked this place. Called it small. Called the sheets scratchy. He had no idea what it meant to build something from nothing. I crossed the street and let myself in through the side door. The night clerk looked up and nodded. I had trained him myself. Mr. Finch. Everything all right, fine. I am just checking in. Is room 304 available? Always for you, sir. I took the stairs to the 3rd floor. The hallway was quiet. I unlocked the door and stepped inside. The room was small. A bed, a desk, a window overlooking the alley. Nothing luxurious. Nothing extravagant. I sat on the edge of the bed and looked at the peeling paint on the ceiling. Tomorrow, I would face Derek again. He would offer me something. A trade. A secret. A last-ditch effort to save himself. And I would listen. But I would not give him anything. I lay back on the bed and read at the ceiling. The city hummed outside. The hotel creaked around me. It was the most peace I had felt in weeks. I closed my eyes. Tomorrow would come soon enough. The next morning, I arrived at the Hawthorne at 9:45. The lobby was quiet. A few guests sat in the A-room chairs by the fireplace, reading newspapers. The front desk clerk gave me a nod. I walked past the elevator and took the stairs to the 2nd floor conference room. Derek was already there. He sat at the small table by the window, a cup of coffee in front of him, untouched. His suit was wrinkled. His hair was uncombed. The white tuxedo from the night before had been replaced by something that looked like he had slept in it. U-R-E-E-R-L-Y. I said, I could not sleep. He looked up. His eyes were red-rimmed. I have not slept in 3 days. I sat across from him. Talk. He took a breath. His hands were shaking. I want to make a deal, he said. I am listening. The company, the properties, the money. You can keep all of it. I do not want any of it anymore. All I want is for you to drop the criminal investigation. Make it go away. Claim it was a misunderstanding. Say you found the errors and they were corrected. Something. Anything. Just make it stop. Why would I do that? Because I know things. He leaned 4-way road. I know about the offshore accounts. I know about the loans. But that is not all. I know about the people who helped me. The people on the Boa Road. The people in the banks. The people who are still working for you right now. I have already fired the Boa RD members who were involved. Have you? Derek smiled. It was a bitter smile. What about David Kim? He is clean. He is not clean. Derek laughed. He was the one who introduced me to the offshore bankers. He was the one who set up the shell companies. He just did it through a third party, so his name would not appear on any documents. I said nothing. You think you have cleaned house, Derek continued. You think you have rooted out all the corruption. But you have not. David is still there. He is still in your inner circle. And he is still feeding information to my father. Prove it. Derek pulled out his phone. He tapped the screen and slid it across the table. I looked at the message thread. David Kim's name was at the top. The messages were dated 2 days ago. They discussed the forensic audit. They discussed the names of the accountants I had hired. They discussed a strategy to delay the investigation. I scrolled through the messages. My jaw tightened. There is more, Derek said. There is a folder in my APA remit. Bank statements. Email printouts. Everything you need to prove David was in on it from the beginning. You can have it. All of it. In exchange for dropping the charges against me. I set the phone down. You are asking me to let a criminal walk free in exchange for another criminal. I am asking you to save yourself. You think you have one, Ethan, but you have not. David is positioning himself to take over. He is already talking to the remaining Boa RD members. He is preparing to challenge your leadership. And if he does, he will drag your name through the mud. He will claim you knew about the fraud and did nothing. He will destroy you. I leaned back in my chair. You came here to in me about David. I came here to save myself. But I am also saving you. If David takes over, he will undo everything you have done. He will bring back Americus. He will bring back the old Boa Road. And you will be left with nothing. You expect me to believe you are redoing this out of the goodness of your heart? I am doing this because I have no other choice. Derek's voice cracked. I have a wife. I have children. They are already SCA read. They do not understand why their father is crying in the middle of the night. If I go to prison, they will have nothing. They will be homeless. They will be shamed. I cannot do that to them. Your wife knew about the gambling. She knew about the offshore accounts. She was involved. She was not involved. I kept her out of it. She does not know anything. She just saw the money and did not ask questions. Derek wiped his eyes. Please, Ethan, I am begging you. For my kids. For my wife. Just give me a chance to walk away. I looked at him. His face was pale. His hands were trembling. He looked like a man who had been crushed. I will make a deal with you. I said. His eyes lit up. I will drop the criminal charges against you. I will let you walk away with a small settlement. Enough to start over somewhere else. But you will never work in this industry again. You will never come NEA or Finch Holdings again. And you will sign a full confession admitting everything you did. Derek nodded frantically. Yes. Yes. Anything. I will sign anything. And you will give me the folder. The one with the evidence against David. Of course. It is in my APA remit. I can get it right now. Do not move. I stood up. I am sending someone to get it. You will stay here until they return. I pulled out my phone and texted Elena. She responded within seconds. I gave her Derek's address and the location of the folder. Someone will be at your APA mint in 20 minutes, I said. They will bring the folder here. Then you will sign the confession. Derek sat back in his chair. He looked relieved. He looked like a man who had just been pulled from the water. Thank you, he said. Thank you, Ethan. I will not forget this. Do not thank me yet. If the folder does not contain what you promised, the deal is off. It is all there. I swear. I have been saving it for months. In case I needed leverage. 27 minutes later, Elena walked into the conference room. She wrote a manila folder thick with documents. She set it on the table in front of me. All of it, she said. Every piece of paper. Every email. Everything Derek promised. I opened the folder. The first page was a bank statement showing a wire transfer from a Cayman Islands account to a shell company. David Kim's name was on the shell company's registration. The second page was an email from David to Derek, discussing how to launder the money through a series of smaller transactions. I flipped through the pages. There were dozens. Dozens of emails. Dozens of statements. Dozens of pieces of evidence linking David to the fraud. Good, I said. Now the confession. Elena slid a second folder across the table. This one contained a document drafted by my legal team. It was a full admission of guilt from Derek, detailing every act of fraud he had committed. It was also a waiver of all rights to contest the will, the codicil, or any future legal action. Derek read it. His face went pale. This is everything. He said, that is the point. If I sign this, you can use it against me anytime. You could still prosecute me later. I could, but I will not. I met his eyes. The deal is the deal. You sign. You leave. You never come back. And I will not pursue criminal charges. Those are the terms. Take them or leave them. Derek read at the paper. His hand hovered over the pinned, "You promise?" he asked. "You promise you will not come after me later?" "I promise." He signed. His hand shook as he wrote his name. I took the confession and handed it to Elena. "You are free to go," I said. "I will have a check sent to your wife's account by the end of the week. $200,000 RS. Enough to start over. But if I ever see your face again, the deal is off." Derek stood up. He looked at me. For a moment, I thought he was going to say something else. But he just nodded. "Thank you," he said. Then he walked out of the room. I sat alone in the conference room. Elena stood by the door. "Sir," she said, "bring me David Kim. I want him in my office by noon. And I want security waiting." "Yes, sir." She left. I looked at the folder on the table. The evidence against David was damning. It was enough to destroy him. It was enough to send him to prison. But I was not going to do that. Not yet. I was going to give him a choice. The same choice I had given Derek. Walk away with nothing, or face the consequences. And I knew which one he would take. I gathered the folder and walked out of the conference room. The hawthorn hummed around me. The guests chatted in the lobby. The staff moved through the corridors. It was a living thing. A thing I had built from nothing. And I was not going to let anyone take it from me. Not Derek. Not David. Not anyone. I walked into my office at Finch Holdings at 11:30. The security team was already stationed outside the door. Elena was at her desk, typing. He is in the conference room, she said. He does not know why he is here. Good. Let him wait. I sat down at my desk and opened the folder. I read every page again. The bank statements, the emails, the shell company registrations. Every piece of evidence was clean, clear, unambiguous. David had been playing me from the start. He had smiled at me in that boa rudrum. He had promised loyalty. He had taken the doubled compensation and the autonomy over the commercial division. And all along, he had been feeding information to Derek and Americas. I closed the folder and stood up. Send him in, I said. Elena nodded. She walked to the conference room door and opened it. David Kim walked in. He was dressed in a Shah RP gray suit. His tie was perfectly knotted. His hair was combed. He looked like a man who had everything under control. Ethan, he said, smiling. What is this about? Elena said it was urgent. Sit down. He sat. His smile did not falter. I have been reviewing the audit, I said. The forensic accountants making progress. They have found a lot of irregularities. I am sure they have. Derek was running a very sloppy operation. He was. But he was not running it alone. David's smile froze. What do you mean? I slid the folder across the desk. Open it. He opened it. I watched his face as he read the first page. Then the second. Then the third. The color drained from his cheeks. Where did you get this? He asked. Derek gave it to me. This morning. In exchange for a deal. Deal? What kind of deal? I let him walk away. He signed a confession. He is gone. But before he left, he gave me everything on you. David closed the folder. His hands were steady. I had to give him credit for that. This is forged, he said. Derek is a liar. He is trying to drag me down with him. Those bank statements, real. Those emails, real. I have already verified them with my own team. I can explain the emails. I was investigating Derek. I was gathering evidence against him. I was going to bring it to you. Then why did you not bring it to me? Why did you wait? Why did you send him messages about my accountants and my audit? David opened his mouth, closed it. He had no answer. You are a SMART man, David. You knew Derek was corrupt. You knew the company was bleeding. And instead of stopping it, you joined it. You set up the shell companies. You laundered the money. You took a cut. I did not take a cut. I have the wire transfers. You were paid $300,000 RS over 2 years, deposited into a Swiss account. David's composure cracked. He leaned forward, elbows on the desk. Okay, he said. Okay, you have me. But let me explain. Explain. I was young. I was ambitious. I wanted to move up. Derek promised me a seat on the Boa Road. He promised me power. I did not see about the money. I just wanted the position. And now I have the position. You gave it to me. And I have been loyal to you. Everything I did after you took over was genuine. I helped you clean up the company. I helped you negotiate with the Boa Road. I have been on your side. You have been on your own side. That is all you have ever been on. David looked at me. His eyes were desperate. What are you going to do? He asked. 2 options, I said. The first option, I turn this folder over to the state attorney general. You face charges. You go to prison. Your reputation is destroyed. Your family is shamed. You lose everything. And the second option, you resign today. You forfeit all severance. You walk away with nothing. And you sign a non-disclosure agreement that prevents you from ever talking about this again. That is not much of a choice. It is the only choice you have. Take it or leave it. David read at the folder. His jaw tightened. For a moment, I thought he might fight, might argue, might try to negotiate. But he did not. Fine, he said. I will resign. Elena has the paperwork ready. Sign it, and you can leave. David stood up. He walked to the door, then stopped. You know, he said, turning back. I thought you were different. I thought you were better than Derek. But you are not. You are just as ruthless. You just hide it better. I am not ruthless, I said. I am decisive. There is a difference. You destroyed your own cousin. You forced your aunt out of her home. You fired loyal employees. And now you are blackmailing me into leaving. I am not blackmailing you. I am giving you a way out. There is a difference. David laughed. It was a hollow sound. You are going to end up alone, Ethan. Everyone who works for you will fear you. No one will trust you. No one will like you. And in the end, you will have nothing but money and an empty building. Maybe, I said, but I will have the money and the building. What will you have? He did not answer. He walked to the conference room and signed the papers. Elena escorted him out. I watched him go through the glass wall of my office. He walked past the security team without looking back. He stepped into the elevator and read. I sat down at my desk. The folder was still on the table. I picked it up and locked it in the safe behind my desk. I would keep it, just in case my phone buzzed. It was Gerald. Ethan, he said. I heard about David. News travels fast. It does. You made the right decision. He was a liability. I know. There is something else. The Attorney General's office called. They have finished their preliminary review of the evidence. They want to move four-way RD with charges against Derek and his associates. I told Derek I would drop the charges against him. You told him that. But you do not have the authority to drop the charges. The state is the one pressing them. You can choose not to cooperate, but they can still proceed without you. I leaned back in my chair. Then they will proceed. I promised him I would not pursue criminal charges. I never promised I would stop the state from doing it. Gerald paused. That is a technicality. It is the truth. You should have read the fine print. I hung up. The afternoon was quiet. I spent the rest of the day in meetings. I met with the remaining BOA RD members and assured them the transition was on track. I met with the forensic accountants and reviewed their progress. I met with the staff and listened to their concerns. By 6 o'clock, I was alone in my office. The city was dark outside. The lights of the skyscrapers glittered in the distance. Elena knocked at the door. Sir Derek's wife called. She wants to speak with you. Put her through. I picked up the phone. Mrs. Finch, I said, please. Her voice was trembling. Please. I know what Derek did was wrong. I know he stole from the company. But he is my husband. He is the father of my children. And he just got a call from a state investigator. They are going to prosecute him anyway. You promised. I promised I would not pursue charges. I did not promise the state would not pursue them. This is semantics. This is legal trickery. You made a deal. You shook his hand. I made a deal. I gave him $200,000 Rs. I let him walk away. I kept my promise. But I cannot control what the state does. You could stop them. You could call the Attorney General and ask them to drop it. You have influence now. You have power. I do have power. But I am not going to use it to protect a thief. There was silence on the other end. Then a sob. He is going to prison, she said. He is going to prison and my children will grow up without a father. He should have thought of that before he stole money from his own grandmother. You are a monster. I am a businessman. There is a difference. I hung up. I sat in the dark and looked at the city below. The lights flickered. The traffic crawled. Somewhere out there, Derek was getting the news. Somewhere out there, his wife was crying. His children were red. I felt nothing. I had given Derek a chance. I had given him a way out. He had signed the confession. He had taken the money. He had walked away. But the state was still coming for him. And that was not my problem. I stood up and walked to the window. My reflection read back at me. Cold eyes. Steady hands. This was the cost of winning. The hearing was scheduled for a Thursday morning. The courtroom was packed. Reporters, family members, curious onlookers. Derek sat at the defendant's table with his lawyers. America sat behind him, face like stone. I sat at the plaintiff's table with my legal team. Lisa Hahn sat at the prosecutor's table, observing. The judge entered. We rose. She's Saturday, Mr. Finch, she said, looking at Derek. You are re-challenging the validity of the codicil on the grounds of undue influence. Is that correct? Yes, Your Honor. Proceed. Derek's lawyer stood. He was a tall man with a booming voice and a silver mane. We have evidence that Margaret Rhett Finch was suffering from severe dementia in the months before her death. We have medical records, testimony from her caregivers, and an expert opinion from a licensed psychiatrist. Produce your expert. The psychiatrist took the stand. He spoke for an hour about cognitive decline, memory loss, and the difficulty of making sound financial decisions. Objection, my lawyer said. The witness never examined my client's grandmother. Overruled. The witness is an expert in dementia. He can provide general testimony. My lawyer cross-examined him. Dr. Miller, did you ever meet Margaret Rhett Finch? No. Did you ever review her medical records? Not in full. Did you know that she was lucid on the day she signed the codicil? I have heard that claim. Did you know there is video evidence of her signature? I have been told. Then how can you testify that she was incompetent? The psychiatrist hesitated. It is a matter of probability. A matter of probability. My lawyer shook his head. Your Honor, this witness has no direct knowledge of the case. His testimony is speculation. The judge looked at Derek's lawyer. Do you have any direct evidence, any witness who was present at the signing? We have no such witness, Your Honor. Then I am inclined to admit the video as evidence. They played the video on a large screen. My grandmother's face filled the screen, frail but alert. She spoke clearly. She articulated her reasons. She acknowledged her diagnosis and stated she was of sound mind. This is what I want, she said. This is what I have always wanted. I just did not have the courage until now. The courtroom was silent. The codicil is valid, the judge said. The original will is superseded. This court will enforce the codicil in full. Derek collapsed in his chair. America stood up, shouted something, and was escorted out by bailiffs that I watched them go. I felt nothing that the hearing ended. The reporters SWA remed. I pushed through them and walked out into the hallway. Lisa Hahn caught up with me. Good work in there, she said. The video was decisive. It should have been enough from the START. It relies. Families fight these things to the bitter end. She glanced back at the courtroom. But now we move to the criminal phase. Derek will face charges next month. We have enough evidence to convict. I know. Are you still planning to see Parrot fully? She nodded. Then we will be in touch. She walked away. I stood in the hallway. The courthouse was busy with people moving in every direction. Lawyers with briefcases. Families with worried faces. Guardians with stern eyes. My phone buzzed. Americus. I answered. Ethan. His voice was Hoa RSE. We need to talk. We have nothing to talk about. The judge ruled. You won. But you did not win everything. There are still pieces of the company I control. Minority Shah Res Boa Road seats. I can still make your life difficult. You are threatening me in a courthouse hallway. I am telling you the truth. If you want a smooth transition, you will make a deal with me. I want my seat back. I want influence. I want a say in how this company is run. And what do I get in return? My silence. My cooperation. My support. Without it, I will fight you every step of the way. I will file motions. I will contest every decision. I will make your life a living hell. I looked at him. He was standing 20 feet away, phone pressed to his EAR, eyes burning. You are a bitter old man, I said. You raised a thief. You enabled a criminal. You watched your son destroy the company your mother built, and you did nothing. I did what I had to do to protect my family. You protected yourself. You protected your reputation. You protected your allowance. You never protected anyone. Americus's face twisted. You do not know anything about me. I know everything about you. I have read every email. I have seen every bank statement. I have heard every phone call. You are not a victim, Americus. You are a conspirator. I never took a cent from the company. You took a salary. You took bonuses. You took perks. You benefited from Derek's fraud every single day. You just kept your hands clean enough to avoid jail. Americus's phone dropped to his side. He read at me. What do you want? He asked. I want you to disap AR. I want you to sell your Shares. I want you to resign from every Boa RD you are on. I want you to walk away and never come back. And if I refuse, then I will turn over everything I have on you. Every email, every meeting, every conversation. I will let the prosecutor decide if you are guilty of conspiracy. Americus took a step four-way road. A bailiff moved between us. Back up. The bailiff said. Americus stopped. His hands were shaking. You are destroying this family, he said. I am saving what is left of it. I turned and walked away. The next week was chaos. The press was everywhere. The legal filings were endless. The meetings were exhausting. But I kept moving. One day at a time. One decision at a time. I fired 3 more executives who had been implicated in the fraud. I restructured the commercial division. I launched a new marketing campaign. I traveled to 3 cities to meet with key investors. And through all of it, Americus was silent. I knew he was planning something. I knew he would not go quietly. But I did not see I had the evidence. I had the authority. I had the will to fight. On the 10th day after the hearing, I received a letter. Hand-delivered. No return address. I opened it in my office. It was from Americus. 1 page. Short. Ethan, you have won the battle. But you have not won the war. I am selling my Shah residential to a third party. Someone who will not be as easy to push around as Derek. Someone who will challenge you at every turn. I hope you are ready. Your uncle. I read the letter twice. Then I set it on the desk, and STA read at the wall. A third Pa Rudy. Someone Ma Ruckus had found. Someone willing to buy into a company that was still in the middle of a corruption scandal. Whoever it was. They were either desperate or confident. I picked up my phone and called Elena. I need a list of every major real estate investor in the region. Everyone Ma Ruckus has done business with in the last 5 years. Yes, sir. Cross-reference it with anyone who has expressed interest in Finch Holdings in the last 6 months. On it. She hung up. I sat back in my chair. The city sprawled below me. The sun was setting. The sky was orange and red. Ma Ruckus was making his move. He was not going to go quietly. And I was going to be ready. The next morning, Elena came into my office with a folder. Ma Ruckus sold his Shaw residential to a private equity firm called Blackstone PA Partners, she said. The managing partner is a man named Victor Kane. He is known for hostile takeovers. He buys up Shaw residential and struggling companies, forces his way onto the BOA RD, and strips the assets. I opened the folder. Victor Kane's face STA read back at me. Shaw RP features. Cold eyes. The face of a predator. He is already making calls, Elena continued. He has contacted 3 of the remaining BOA RD members. He has offered them positions in his new regime. New regime. He is planning to challenge your leadership. He wants to call a Shaw reholder vote. He thinks he can win. Let him try. Elena looked at me. Sir, he is dangerous. He has more money than Ma Ruckus. He has more connections. He is not going to be as easy to defeat as Derek. Who said anything about easy? I closed the folder and tossed it on the desk. To set up a meeting, I said. I want to meet Victor Kane face to face. Tomorrow. My office. Are you sure? I am sure. Let him come. Let him see who he is dealing with. Elena nodded and left. I sat alone in the office. The city glowed below me. Ma Ruckus was gone. Derek was gone. David was gone. But Victor Kane was coming. And I was ready. Victor Kane arrived at 10 o'clock sharp. He did not use the main entrance. He came through the service elevator with 2 lawyers and a security detail. He wanted me to know he could get anywhere. He wanted me to see the show. I watched him walk through the glass doors of my office. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with silver hair combed back and a suit that cost more than most CARS. His lawyers flanked him like bodyguards. His eyes scanned the room, cataloging every detailed. Ethan Finch, he said. I have heard a lot about you. Victor Kane. I have heard a lot about you too. Mostly warnings. He smiled. It did not reach his eyes. Warnings just opinions. I prefer facts. He sat without being invited. His lawyers remained standing behind him. I will be direct, he said. I now control 32% of Finch Holdings. With the remaining minority Shaw holders, I can force a vote. I can challenge your leadership. And I have the votes to win. You have 32%. I have 48%. The rest, floating. You cannot win a vote without them. I have been talking to the floating Shaw holders. They are tired of the chaos. They are tired of the family drama. They want stability. They want results. And they are beginning to believe I can provide that. Belief is not a vote. Belief becomes a vote when I show them the numbers. He pulled a tablet from his briefcase and slid it across the desk. Take a look. This is my proposal for the next 5 years. Aggressive expansion. Asset liquidation. Rapid return on investment. Your grandmother built a conservative empire. I will turn it into a machine. I looked at the screen. The numbers were aggressive. Too aggressive. He was planning to sell off half the commercial properties within 2 years. He was planning to cut staff by 20%. He was planning to leverage the company's debt to fund acquisitions. This is a suicide plan, I said. You will gut the company and leave it hollow. I will maximize Shaw holder value. That is my job. That is what I do. You are a vulture. You buy distressed assets, strip them, and move on. You do not build. You destroy. Victor's smile tightened. Call it what you want. But it is legal. And it is profitable. And the Shaw holders will vote for it because they want to see returns. I slid the tablet back across the desk. You are not going to get a vote. I said, why not? Because I am buying out the floating Shaw holders. I have already made offers to all of them. By the end of the week, I will control 61% of the company. Victor's expression did not change. But I saw his jaw tightened. You cannot afford that, he said. The floating Shah-Rez-e worth over 200 million. I can afford it. I own 37 hotels. I own 3 casinos. I own a private equity fund that has doubled in value every year for the past 5 years. I can afford anything I want. He read at me. For the first time, he looked uncertain. You have been planning this, he said. I have been planning everything. Since the moment my grandmother signed that codicil. Since the moment Derek laughed at me in the conference room. Since the moment you bought Marcus's Shah-Rez. I have been 3 steps ahead of all of you. Victor leaned back in his chair. This is not over. There are other ways to challenge you. Lawsuits. Regulatory complaints. Media campaigns. I have a lot of resources, Ethan. More than you think. And I have more resources than you think. I stood up. You are a predator, Victor. You pick on weak companies. You prey on families in crisis. But I am not weak. And my company is not in crisis. I have cleaned out the corruption. I have stabilized the finances. I have a clear vision for the future. And I have the votes to make it happen. Victor stood up. His lawyers shifted behind him. You are making a mistake, he said. You could have had a partner. You could have had an ally. Instead, you have an enemy. I have had enemies my whole life. You are just the latest. And you will be defeated like all the others. He walked to the door. His security followed. I will not forget this, he said. I am counting on it. He left and I sat down. My hands were steady. My pulse was calm. Elena walked in. He is gone. But he left a message. He is going to file a lawsuit tomorrow. He is claiming you misled the Shari holders. Let him. I have the documents. I have the proof. He has nothing. Sir, he is dangerous. He has destroyed bigger companies than this. Then let him try to destroy this one. I will be waiting. The next week was a blur of legal filings and media appearances. Victor Kane launched a full-scale attack. He accused me of fraud. He accused me of nepotism. He accused me of running the company into the ground. I responded with evidence. I released the audit results. I released the emails. I released the bank statements. I showed the world exactly what Derek had done and exactly what Victor was trying to do to the media turn on Victor. The Shari holders rallied behind me. By the end of the second week, Victor's lawsuit was dismissed. By the end of the third week, he had sold his Shah residential at a loss and read from the scene. Marcus called me the day Victor left. His voice was hollowed. You won again, he said. I know. Victor was my last hope. My last chance to get back at you. And you crushed him like everyone else. You should have sold your Shah residential quietly and walked away. You should have taken the money and left. But you had to fight. You had to try to destroy me. You destroyed me first. I destroyed what was already broken. Marcus was silent for a long moment. Then he spoke again. I am leaving the country, he said. I am going to Europe. I am never coming back. That is probably wise. You will never see me again. But you will see my ghost everywhere. In every empty chair at family dinners. In every photograph on the wall. In every memory of what we used to be. We were never a family. We were a corporation. That is all we ever were. Marcus hung up. I sat in my office. The city was dark outside. The lights of the skyscrapers glittered like diamonds. Elena knocked at the door. Sir, the press is here. They want a statement about the lawsuit being dismissed. Tell them I will give a statement tomorrow. Yes, sir. She left. I walked to the window. Below, the traffic crawled through the canyons of the city. Somewhere out there, Derek was preparing for his trial. Somewhere out there, Marcus was packing his bags. Somewhere out there, Victor Kane was counting his losses. And somewhere, in a den that no longer existed, my grandmother was watching. I wondered what she would think. Whether she would be proud. Whether she would be horrified. I decided I did not see a re. The company was mine. The empire was mine. The future was mine. And I had built it all myself. I stood at the window of my grandmother's old office, watching the city dissolve into darkness. The lights flickered on one by one across the skyline. My skyline now. My city. The phone on my desk buzzed. Elena's voice came through. Sir, Derek's sentencing is tomorrow morning. The prosecutor wants to know if you will attend. No. Understood. There is also a letter for you. Hand-delivered. From Patricia. Bring it in. Elena entered with a cream-colored envelope. She set it on the desk and left without a word. I opened it. Patricia's handwriting was shaky. The letters tilted like they had been written in a hurry. Ethan, I am leaving too. Marcus is gone. Derek is going to prison. There is nothing left for me here. I have sold the ART collection. I have closed the penthouse. I am moving to a small house in Connecticut. Far away from all of this that I do not forgive you. I do not think I ever will. But I understand you. You did what you had to do. You took what was yours. I cannot blame you for that. But I want you to know something. Your grandmother loved you. She was cruel and cold, and she hurt you in ways that will never heal. But she loved you. She told me so the night before she died. She said she wished she had been braver. She wished she had seen you sooner. Maybe that changes nothing. Maybe it changes everything. I do not know. Goodbye, Ethan. I folded the letter and placed it in my desk drawer. I walked to the elevator and wrote it down to the lobby. The building was empty. The security guard nodded as I passed. I stepped outside. The air was cold. The streets were wet from rain. I walked for 3 blocks. No destination. Just walking. Past the closed shops and the glowing windows of apartments where families ate dinner. Past the homeless man begging on the corner and the couple arguing outside a bar. Past all of it. I stopped at a small park. A bench. A fountain. A single street light casting yellow light on the wet pavement. I sat down. The city hummed around me. Cars, sirens, voices, the endless noise of millions of people living their lives. I thought about Derek in his cell, Marcus on a plane, Patricia in her empty house, my grandmother in her grave. And me. Here, alone on a bench in the middle of the night. I had one. I had everything. I had nothing. I stood up and walked back to the building. The lights in the lobby were still on. The security guard was still there. The elevator doors opened as I approached. I stepped inside and pressed the button for the top floor. The doors closed. The elevator rose.